First of all, I'd like to thank all of you, specifically the EML, Extramural Lecture Series group that has organized this talk, and also the faculty members, and of course the students, for having invited me to come here. I was just wondering if some of those people who are standing would like to sit on these steps, if you'd like to. It'll be so much nicer. There are steps here, if I can. Would you mind coming there, some of you? Come to the steps. Thank you. Okay. Now, I was also a student like you, and I'll start off with my own very personal journey so that maybe you get some information as to how a person can get inspired. When I was a student like you at IIT Hyderabad, I remember that I used to sing Western pop music with a guitar, and it used to be, it still is, the in thing to do. So we were like heroes. But there was one staff member there, a visionary, and he every year with great difficulty used to organize a whole night of Indian classical music. It was called the Green Amateurs Night. I still don't know why it was called that, but that's what it's called. And we used to go there, sit right at the back, like our friends there, put the bedding, play cards, go to sleep there. We're not at all interested in this business. But that man, without us knowing it, planted a seed into me that is still growing into a massive, massive, massive tree, from which I derive nutrition for everything that I do. My research, my teaching, my talking to you, everything. And that is what I've come to share with you. See, today when we talk of Indian knowledge systems, there's great talk of Indian knowledge systems. But we're all harking back to the past. We're saying, oh, our ancestors did this. They made aeroplanes 4,000 years back. They made atom bombs. They made, see, I don't know whether they did. I've got my, my reservations about it. But even if they did, so what? How is it relevant to you as a student in the year 2025? That's what's most important. And my talk today will be focused on that. How is it relevant to a student of IIT Hyderabad in the year 2025? And that I'm talking purely out of my own personal experience, not of reading the great books or any such thing, because all my life I've read maths and things like that. I've not read any of the great texts, frankly. I'm telling you only what I experienced, and that too, as I said, by a random chance phenomena, in the sense that there were some people, some faculty members, some people whom I met, who gave me an experience which I can never forget. So this was one of them. I didn't know what was happening. I finished my BTech and then went to Columbia University to do my PhD. When I was at Columbia University, I saw a small little advertisement in New York It said that Ustad Nasir Aminuddin Dagar and Ustad Fariduddin Dagar were going to give a Drupad recital at the Brooklyn Academy of Music in New York. So हमने कहा चलो चलो देखें. We actually went to see it. But what happened that day was something very, very, I would say, remarkable. It was something like the black box in science, or like the hidden layout of the neural network, in which you're coming in, you're coming in and you're going out, but you don't know what's happening inside. So we walked in and walked out 1 inch above the ground, figuratively, and didn't know why. But I said, if it can happen to me, it can happen to you, it can happen to Prakhar, it can happen to anyone. So there and then, what we did was, any great artist used to go through New York City, we used to catch hold of them and tell them to give an experience to the students at Columbia University. This week we got the great Ali Akbar Khan Sahab also to come there. Ali Akbar Khan Sahab playing like this and not looking to see how many people are there, what's happening there. He is on his own trip. You want to come, you come. If you don't want to, tralalu, bye-bye, no problem. That was the type of attitude which these great masters had. Then when I finished my PhD, I joined Bell Laboratories. And Bell Laboratories, I was, like starry-eyed, because Bell Laboratories, as you know, has produced many Nobel laureates. And we used to see them from a distance. But what I was so taken up by was the fact that how is it that one lab has produced so many Nobel laureates, while the whole country of India has actually only produced one C.V. Raman. All the rest have been there, but they have been citizens of other countries. So when I started thinking about it, I said, look, I did some Chintan Manan, and I came to the conclusion that our country has produced far greater, if not at least as great as Nobel laureates in the West. Many of them. They haven't got the chapa of a Nobel laureate. Why is that? Now see, the way West does research and the way we do research, both are important. Please, never deride the West. The best of research work one has learned is from the West. Just see, just by giving a command, hey Siri, move the rover 1 foot to the left. The rover on Mars will move 1 foot to the left. What a fantastic thing. Just now you must have read about the Sun probe. What a fantastic thing. What 4,000 odd kilometers an hour that thing is going in and coming out. So never deride the West. Fantastic things are doing. You have to learn the best of the West. But simultaneously, you can also think about what this country has to offer to the world. Just like what West is doing right now, is giving it for the whole world. Everything that we are using today, even the way we are sitting, all this whole hall, everything is from the West. And in fact, Ananda Kumar Swami, the great philosopher, he said that today the world has become a global village, very small. And everybody from the whole world is coming and putting in that dabba, what they have for the whole world. This little thing that you use, this thing, everything. The West is coming with so many gadgets, so many things they're putting in the dabba. And he also said that Indians are coming to this dabba empty-handed. He said, not because they don't have anything to put into it, but the tragedy of the times is that we don't know what we have to put into it. Whenever I have traveled all over the country, and whenever I go to schools and colleges, I ask, what's so great about the heritage? Also, our heritage is great. What's so great about it? So it's great. I said, what's so great about it? It gives me a sense of identity. Okay, what else? Very few people are able to tell me what actually, how it can contribute to your life. We have made our heritage into ritualism, lot of ritualism. When I go across the country, I find so much of ritualism, so much, the content of which is not understood. You know, great civilizations. What has happened to great civilizations, I might mention? The Roman civilization, the Greek civilization, the Aztec civilization, Egyptian civilization. Where are they today? All in the museums. And what is the procedure? The procedure is like this. The concepts of a civilization, a very deep civilization, are very, very subtle. Very subtle. Once the subtlety is lost, then what happens? You stick to rituals. Then people say, hey, what's this ritual for? That also goes. So what I'm trying to point out is, then it comes straight into the museum. So you go to Greece, you go to all the wonderful museums. You go to Rome, you go to all the wonderful museums. Go to Egypt, do the same thing. I request, let that not happen to us. You must understand what we're doing. See, a person, yesterday you heard such a lovely concert of Ustad Amjad Ali Khan. But I really tell you, I've heard him play totally different music. Totally different music. You say, what different music, sir? Play an alap for almost 1 hour, in which there is no, what I'll say, chin-chat. He has to play this because very few people understand the relevance of that whole big alap, which is the build-up to the whole thing. That is the most abstract, the most subtle, the most inspiring, and the most mystical part of that whole thing. But he dare not do it because everybody will move out. Slowly people will move out. You see, in Carnatic music, I have heard top Carnatic musicians just do kritis. The whole concert will be on kritis. That's not what are classical arts are. What are kritis? They're just songs. The abstraction is the greatness of our heritage is in its abstraction. See, if you understand abstract mathematics, abstract physics, applied mathematics, applied physics is like this. People like Einstein, why were they so great? Heisenberg, Max Planck, Ramanujan. Of course, Ramanujan was a number theorist, but I'm just saying, why are these people so great? Because they were able to see beyond what you can see. Not just say, look, how am I going to use this today? No. When I was studying in Columbia University, I remember there was one theorem on ordered statistics. So when this man was teaching, this wonderful professor, after that, I went and said, but what is the practical utility of this? He said, you will come to know, you will come to know. When I joined Bell Labs as a research scientist, I found it was being used, this theorem, which was theoretically proved 20 years ago, was being used so beautifully for engineering purposes. So my dear students, you know, what we have is, what we have given to the world is something very abstract. Not given to the world, we've given to ourselves and to the world, but we don't know what it is. I'm requesting all you very bright people to think about this. Because unless you people understand what is the actual nature of what we are giving, what we can give to the world, it will be all superficial. Today it's very superficial. Ye dikhawa, wo dikhawa, this, that. Depth-wise, nothing. I'll give you an example. I'm an engineering institution, I'll give you an example. Say if I'm feeling hot, how would a Westerner traditionally look at it? And how would a person from this part of the world look at it? The Westerner will say, I'm feeling hot. If I turn it around, the air around, I should feel cool. I do it with the fan. No, I'm still feeling hot. Expansion of gases has an effect. I built the air conditioner which we all are using so wonderfully. How would traditionally a person from this part of the world look at it? I'm feeling hot. I'm feeling hot because surrounding air is hot. It touches my skin. It sends an impulse to my brain. The response to that impulse makes me feel hot. What if I can break this impulse response chain? I should feel cool. So what do? I sit in Padmasana. I make my body as a laboratory, and very scientifically, I'm talking like as a scientist, very scientifically, he or she tries the input-output model. Says, look, I'm going to try different inputs, look at the outputs. Find out the input corresponding to the optimal output. I do this experimentation for years on end. One day I say, hey, I got it, I know how to do it. I say, Prakhar, come, I'll tell you how to do it. He says, no, sir, I'll go to IIT Hyderabad. I say, Nilay will say, I'll go to IIT Hyderabad. I'll go to the refrigeration and air conditioning lab. Because when you mix two chemicals in the lab, you can see the color changing. Here ancestors would mix 1,000 chemicals inside. You can't see the color changing. You can only feel the color changing, and that too with a delayed response. So, do jagah maar kha gaye. One, I can't see it, and second, a delayed response. Both in this day and age of everything you want instantaneously, both are knocked out. So, my dear students, the most important thing, as I understand, to understand anything of depth, be it mathematics, be it physics, be it elements of our heritage, patience and concentration. These two elements are critical. And what has happened, both are at a premium today. Not your fault. The point is this little thing, everything around you is built up on tick, 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 tock, tick, tock. You give, shots. 15-second shot, this, that. So what happens, the whole mind becomes one that's constantly flitting. And you don't get anything if the mind flits. Nothing. At least nothing of depth. So, what should be done? I'm going to come to now some practical solutions. See, I'll tell you a little story. I had gone to IIT Kanpur. There I met this boy, one student, he had lovely chunky eyes. And he was smiling. Nowadays students don't smile. So like this. He was smiling. I said, come here. So I said, how are you doing? Sir, I'm a topper. So I said, which coaching institute did you join to get into IIT? Sir, I didn't join any coaching institute. I didn't have money. So I said, which attempt is it of yours? My first attempt, sir. So how did you do this? He did like this. My school. So I said, which school was this? He talked of some small village school. So I said, what was so special about your school? He said, our principal was a visionary. I said, what was his great vision? He said, the motto of our school, the vision statement, mission statement, all these big statements. He said, I'll say how he said it. Hare बच्चे की एकाग्रता बढ़ाना. That was the motto of the school, to increase the concentration level of every child. And adding to that, and to increase their patience level. I said, then how did they do it? He said, sir, every morning the whole school had to do half an hour of yoga. Today it's called yoga, it's actually yoga. So I'm putting both of them. So I said, okay, but that many schools do. What's so great about that? He said, no sir, it's not like how the other schools do it, where a PT instructor is sent for a 6-month crash course in yoga. He comes back and teaches you do either PT or do yoga. No. He was concentrating on my monkey mind. My monkey mind, which was going to Shah, Shan, Shah Rukh Khan, Amitabh Bachchan, whatever. We brought it down to 3 sigma limits. So I said, okay, then what happened? They said, sir, in all the classes, the teachers constantly were looking like that, and looking like that, and saying, hey, you're not concentrating. Come on, you must concentrate what I'm saying. So, we always not only we not only have to hear the lecture, but we'll also not have to look down on our cell phones. Of course, not that, I'm just saying it for this particular audience. But say, concentrate on what is being said. I said, okay, then what happened? They said, sir, when the school got over, the whole school had to do 1 hour compulsory of Indian classical music. So what happened was my concentration was when this much came like this, like this, like this, it became like a laser beam. So when I took my physics book or my maths book or whatever book, what other students would take many hours to do, we finish like this. So my dear friends, look, if there's a monkey sitting on the tree outside and you tell the monkey to dance, will it dance? No. But the monkey man catches the monkey and brings it and says, dance, it dances. How does he do it? He trains the monkey. He says, monkey, if you dance, I'll give you a banana. If you don't dance, I'll give you a stick. And the monkey starts dancing. Today, don't mind my saying it, but the basic problem of the whole world today, I would say 99%, is the monkey mind is making people dance. If you can turn the tables, if you can teach your monkey mind to dance at your tune, you will be a topper. I can proudly say that I have been one, and I have been fortunate because I was exposed to some of these concepts by fluke. I often say, why by fluke? Why should it be by fluke? It should be a birthright to get the right thing. Today we are getting it, but we are getting it in a very, very distorted way. And unless you all people are able to distinguish between what is the right way and what's not the right way, many things will pass off. See, it's very easy to pass off a diamond, a glass piece as diamond. You just put a nicely polished glass piece in a nice little box with a nice little ribbon, and you present it to people. It'll pass off as a diamond. That's what's happening today. Only a diamond merchant or a jeweler will be, oh, this is not a diamond, sorry. You have to have that discrimination to be able to make out the difference between diamond and glass. I'm not criticizing yesterday's program, it was superb. But if you were able to distinguish between diamond and glass, he could have raised the level of the program to much higher order. See, what's the difference between the great Subbalakshmi ji and the great D.K. Patamal ji? See, D.K. Patamal ji, you might not have heard. How many have heard the name of D.K. Patamal ji? Please raise your hand. Okay, just see one. How many of you heard the name of MS Subbulakshmi? Everybody. That's the difference. Now, if you have heard D.K. Patamalji, and if you were a Rasik, you would say she was like, I will call her the theoretical physicist. And MS Subbulakshmi, though she was fantastic, please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. She was the applied physicist, where you can see what is being projected by the applied person. I'm sure you know that Albert Einstein played classical music. He played the piano, he played the violin, and he also said, had I not become a physicist, I would have been a classical musician. This is what he said. So what I'm trying to point out here is there's a deep correlation between the classical arts and pure physics, maths, chemistry, and therefore, see, all of us are engineers, I know, but engineering also derives all its nutrition from the theoretical stuff. You must, I'm telling you my sincere small advice to all of you, is what my topper student who went to Stanford, what he wrote to me when he went there. He said, sir, please tell all the students whom you meet, tell them to take many maths courses. We are not in comparison with the French students or with other students in maths. We are low. He says you must tell every student to take many more math courses. The maths is the king, queen, jack of all sciences. So I'm just passing down this message from this top student. Don't skirt mathematics. Similarly, don't skirt the abstract things in our heritage. Don't skirt them. This is what I'm requesting you. Try and examine how it can enhance your life, as I said, in 2025. Now I'll tell you practical things, how it can, okay? And this is one concept in our heritage which has been very beautiful, has been minimal. Everything is minimal. Okay? What do you mean by that? Minimal means that, look, with a very little thing we can do lots. For example, I'm coming now to the practical side. When we go to the West, what we require when we have dinner or lunch, a nice table, a tablecloth, a soup spoon, a dessert spoon, a eating spoon, a fork, a knife, nice 2-3 plates, cups, everything. Then we say, wow, it's a nice, very nice, right place. We sit like this. When we go for a traditional meal, person sits down, has a patal, things are put on the patal, you wash your hands, eat everything, hold the patal. Right. You see, nowadays we have these huge gyms, fancy gyms. I'm sure you have one in IIT also, where every treadmill, everything is there. I can tell you we can do everything that's in a gym, which costs crores of rupees, just by learning yoga. You say, sir, what do you say? How do you do the treadmill? Dynamic pranayama. How do you do weightlifting? The backrest helps you. But if you just sit like this, this Padmasana, right? What it does is, it pushes up your back here. You don't require backrest, really. Just sit like this. So without making all those fancy chairs and saying it should be curved to your back, so it holds the back properly. Nothing is required. This is the minimal part of it. You want to see how we do weights? Just put your hand here. Of course, this is very soft. I don't know how I'll be able to do it, but just lift it up. No clapping. No, one thing I want to make clear, please. See, in this, I request, in this particular session, no clapping, not even at the end. I request of you. You know what Ustad Bismillah Khan Sahib used to say? He said, आजकल वाह करवाने वाले बहुत हो गए, पर निकलवाने वाले गिने चुने रहे. I'm not saying that I can take out the but I don't want the wah for sure. Please, no clapping even at the end. There's too much of clapping, too much of gargarat. No need. Okay? What I'm just pointing to you, out to you is, you can do any number of weights. You can put weights here. Just put a stone. Finish. If you want to increase the weight, you can do it. So what I'm trying to point out to you is that it's very minimalist. You look at our theatre. I'm just giving you the example of Kudiyattam from Kerala. It has been declared as one of the masterpieces of the oral and intangible heritage of humanity, not by us, but by United Nations. What a subtle, what a beautiful form. I've seen theatre so-called of the best in the world on Broadway in USA for many years, Equus, with Richard Burton, with this, with that. But Guru Avanur Madhav Chakya, the late Guru Avanur, who put everybody to shame. I'm not joking. So minimally, no stage props, no revolving stage, no lights coming ching 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 ching. Everything done with the eyes. He could describe Mount Kailas with his eyes, which I can never ever forget. He described the expanse of Mount Kailash just by his eyes, if you had the ability to see. What the great Birju Maharaj says, I'll just also mention, he says our ability to recognize things that are very, very subtle has become zero. He said, my Guru, when he used to perform this Radha Krishna scene, he had these big muchas, big mustaches. And when he looked from here, he was Radha. When he turned like this, he became Krishna. What I'm trying to point out is our ability to recognize the subtle also, the abstract, the inspiring, and also the mystical has gone down rods. Then, what I would like to next mention is our classical arts. They are very curative. How are they curative? You know, there were so many suicides happening in the IIT. So IIT Kanpur decided to do a research project. They did research project on how ragas can affect this very negative trend that's happening in the young person of depression, stress. And what they found was, they put, these, they did EEGs. EEG is like mapping the brain structure, the neuron structure, the firing of the neurons in the brain. So what they found was that if a depressed mind heard Rag Bhim Palasi during the day, or it heard Rag Darwari Kannada at night, they found the depressed mind neuron structure changed to normal. So forget about all the abstract stuff and all that, but look at it practically even. Why should we not then use this for ourselves? This sort of information. The greatness of our country has been before the fact. The greatness of the West has been after the fact. Once you get cancer, you can't say, I'm going to now hear Rag Bhim Palasi. No. You'll have to go to AIMS or you'll have to go to a medical, to a big hospital and get it removed. In that, there's nothing to beat the West. But why get the cancer? Why get all that? That part is where we are like. So, what I'm trying to point out here is that many things are there which we can do before the fact, which if we understand can benefit our lives a lot. And I'll tell you a few things practically which you students can do. I'll tell you two very important things which you all can do. As I mentioned, there's an inner Mount Everest, there's an outer Mount Everest. When somebody climbs the outer Mount Everest, suppose what one of you does, it'll come out headlines in the papers. So and so from IIT Hyderabad climbed Mount Everest. Huge thing that you and that people will come take interviews and all that. When we get a bronze medal in the Olympics, a bronze medal, it comes as a headline. So and so got a bronze medal in the Olympics. But when somebody climbs the inner Mount Everest, nobody comes to know. The inner Mount Everest, the first base, like in climbing a Mount Everest, there are many bases. You have to go to the first base, the second base, the third base, the fourth base. Then you climb to the top. When I go to many schools and colleges, they say, oh sir, we do meditation. We make all the students do meditation. I said, what do you do? Meditation is like the top of the Mount Everest, inner Mount Everest. How can they climb the top of inner Mount Everest without going through base 1, base 2? Their minds are totally like that. So first base in the inner Mount Everest is concentration and patience. So you must recognize the fact that at least 99% of the world today, I think, has not climbed the first base. So what can you do to climb the first base? I'm not talking of biggie things, small thing. I want to make myself more concentrated and have a little more patience so that I do very well in my class at IIT Hyderabad. What will I do? Whenever you want to do increased level of anything, you have to work at it. So how do I work at this concentration level? Our ancestors understood this. And you know what they did? If you see in the Gurukula, we can't make the whole system a Gurukul again, but the Gurukul, I was fortunate to go and stay in a Gurukul for some time. And the Gurukul system, beautiful idea. The concept of the Gurukul is to teach the child to learn how to learn. If I teach the child to learn how to learn, then he or she can learn anything. What I do, I make the child's concentration like that. Once that is done, I say, oh, now you go to that person, learn mathematics. You go to that person, learn physics. But that preliminary thing is not being done. What we are saying, hey, you have to do computers, you have to do this, you have to do JE, you have to do this. So what is happening? We are sending the child into battlefield with a blunt sword. The right way would be to say, okay, now, child, sharpen your mental sword. Sharpen it, go to battlefield, come back. I'll give you the example, I'm not saying it just like that. One of the top people in artificial intelligence who is teaching in IIT Delhi, where I've been for 47 years, he studied his 12th class in a Gurukul in Karnataka. None of the biggies, none of the big things. Then after that, what he did was he went and did his PhD from Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. And he's one of the top artificial intelligence people. What I'm trying to point out is the whole 12 years must have, the main effort in those first 12 years would be to sharpen the mental sword. And how? Few things I want to mention here which you people can do. Now also, you can sharpen your mental sword. How? I'll give you a simple technique by which you can do something every day. The key lies in all these things, even to do well in maths. The key lies in doing it every day. If you miss one day, you're 40 days behind. I'm not saying something original. This is what the great Ustad Nasir Amin bin Dagar Sahib used to say. तो कोई भी गहरी चीज को हासिल करने के लिए तुम्हें हर रोज करना पड़ेगा. He gave the example, beautiful way. He said, एक धारा पानी का लोगे and you पत्थर पे लगाओगे, कुछ नहीं होगा पत्थर को, पर उसी पानी को अगर तुम बूंद बूंद करके टपकाओगे, 1 साल में, 2 साल में, 3 साल में एक सुराख पैदा हो जाएगा. He said that is the way to get, for you to do well in, very well in maths, for you to do well in classical music, for to get anything of depth. It has to be done every day. Do it for a short period, but do it every day. Now, I'm going to tell you a simple technique. We call it the 50 plus 50 plus 50 technique. It's nothing original. It's all time-tested stuff I'm just telling you. So what we do is we say, okay, we'll try and do it at the end also. I'll try to do it with you all at the end, if you give me the permission to do so. That is just, you close your eyes. I'm not doing it right now. I'm just telling you what the idea is. First, what you do is, you'll take a deep breath, hold, let the air out slowly, and keep the air out. And you'll concentrate. What a fantastic idea. You could have said, look, let me concentrate on the light, or let me concentrate on this. No. Even the thing on which you concentrate has to be very subtle and still tangible. What is that? The breath. So beautiful. The idea was so good. So you take a deep breath, hold, let the air out slowly, and keep the air out. Concentrate on the sensation which you get at your nostrils when you're breathing in and breathing out. So what happens? Your concentration becomes like this, it comes to a point. But when you're reading, you're not reading one word, you're going like this. My Professor Prakhar Ji is very nice. So you should be able to move your concentration concentratedly. So what do? For 50 breaths you say, okay, I'll take a deep breath, take my concentration down from my nostrils, down the windpipe, down to my nabi. Concentrate on the nabi. Exhaling from the nabi up through the windpipe and out through the nostril. So simple. So what you have learnt is concentration at a point, concentration of moving your concentration concentratedly. But that's also not sufficient, because in the outward world, yes, many people have done that. Like Virat Kohli, for example, or anybody else. Like I'll give you the example of Serena Williams. Serena Williams was a great tennis player, you all know about it. She had such concentration, my God. She could hit the ball like that, and the ball will hit your nose. The next ball she hits like that, and the ball will hit your nose. So she had the concentration, and she could move the concentration concentrate. But when she was losing, then what would happen? She would throw her racket down. She would fight with the umpire. So our ancestors must have said, ye to nahi chalega. So one more step. Therefore, 50 breaths. You'll put whomever you greatly admire, whomever you're greatly inspired by. It could be Lord Shiva, it could be Lord Ram, Ma Durga, it could be Prophet Muhammad, Lord Jesus, whomever, or it could be Mahatma Gandhi, it could be whoever you are inspired by. Place in the middle of your forehead and concentrate for 50 breaths on the feet of your Ishta. So this is the 50 plus 50 plus 50 technique. If you do this every day without fail, you see how your maths marks will go up. How less depressed you feel. In fact, whenever you're feeling depressed or stressed, just sit down. Just like that. Just start breathing. Whenever you feel angry, sit down. Start breathing. I tell you, breath is a fantastic thing. If you just control the breath for a little while, you find everything normalizes very nicely. Simple technique which can be used. How do you do it? Sir, how do you do it through classical music? Classical music is not music. It's much, much, much more. How do you do it? We say, I think I'm just going to take 2-3 more minutes and end because I'm supposed to stop by 7. Right? So I'm just going to take 2-3 minutes and stop. What we'll do is, in classical music, I used to go to Ustad Nasir Amin and Dagar in Kolkata, and in my vacations. And you know what he'd make me do? For 8 hours, I just had to do sa. That's all. For 8 hours. And I didn't understand what he was doing. I said, he doesn't want to teach me. And I went back very, very depressed. But in a few months, everything of what he said fell into place. He used to say, तुम्हें रे पे जाने की इजाजत तब है जब तुम्हें सा का दर्शन हो जाए. It's really true. He said, एक सादे सब सदे, सब सादे सब जाए. If you get sa, you catch everything. If you don't get sa, nothing. Very similar thing in maths. When I went to do my PhD, there was this Professor David Sigmund. He was the president of the American Mathematical Association. Top mathematician, top mathematician. I was so excited, I said, my God, I'm going to learn to have this class with this great master. But when I went to his class, everything was flying overhead. So after a month, I went to his chamber and I said, sir, I thought I was a bright guy, I don't understand what you're doing. No, Kiran, you're doing fine. He pushed me out. But I got through the course. You all know how you can get through a course. But I said, if I can't understand this course, this fundamental course, I can't do a PhD. And in fact, I did join Columbia University Business School for 2-3 months. But as in those 2-3 months, everything of what David Sigmund said fell into place like a jigsaw puzzle. And I ran back to do my PhD. My dear students, please don't ask questions like what are being asked today. Before the end of a sentence, the student today asks, sir, but why? You know, if you give chance to your great professors who are here, if you listen them now, today's students are not attending classes, which is very sad, because you can get from Google, you can get from YouTube, you can get lectures and all this, but you can't get that and more part. You can't. If there's a good professor, he can take you to realms which you can't imagine. You can't imagine. You can't get it from the net. This I'll assure you. So don't miss classes. One request to you. I can proudly say I've been one of the toppers because I never missed any class. I feel that. So please try to attend all the classes and also wait. Don't ask the question before even the sentence is complete. Okay, this is one, 2 things. So, what this second technique, which I'll say just quickly, is that what you can do is, this beautiful thing is a two-edged sword. It's constantly today being used, 99% is being used for the edge that cuts your throat. But it's a fantastic thing. You just say, hey Siri, what is the morning rag? I'm telling you North Indian, same thing for Carnatic music or North Indian music. I'm just giving you, because I've been involved with, I've been involved with both, but I've learned a little bit of Hindustani classical, so I'm just mentioning from that standpoint. Hey Siri, what's the morning rag? It's a morning rag is Rag Bhairav. Who's the great master of Indian classical, Hindustani classical? Pandit Bhimsen Joshi. Okay? Tap it in. When you're brushing your teeth, and I hope you brush your teeth every morning. Okay? While you're brushing your teeth, just for 2 minutes, play Rag Bhairav by Pandit Bhimsen Joshi. Then, when you're going to sleep, you can ask, hey Siri, give me a good piece from D.K. Patamal. Okay? Play it for a little while, 2 minutes while you're brushing your teeth, you go to sleep. And you see what happens if you do it every day. you'll find how your concentration will become like that. I'm not telling you from hearsay. It's something very, very, very powerful. And then other aspects of it. The creative part I won't go into because that'll take 1 hour. And then add more. I'll just mention what this great Sufi mystic Hazrat Inayat Khan Sahab said. He used to say that all these things have 4 stages in the development. First stage is the imitative stage. Just to give an example, 2 plus 2, 4. 2 plus 2, 4. 3 plus 3, 9. Then you say the suggestive stage. If 2 plus 2 is 4, what is 2 plus 6? The suggestive stage. Then you come into the creative stage, where you are able to bring out creative stuff. But he said, even the highest creativity, if you are at the highest creativity when you are doing creative stuff, that's still not sufficient. There's a 4th stage, which he said, when whatever you are doing no more remains what you are doing, but becomes a direct expression of the soul. This is really true. The real fantastic thing that comes out when everything that you have learned is sort of like forgotten, and you go into a realm which I call the alpha zone. You never know, when you're doing, if you're doing any research work, you'll be doing something for days on end, kuch nahi ho raha, and suddenly a flash of, inspiration comes, hey, it's so beautiful, this is how it is. That's a small sample of what you get. So I'll end off here, and I thank you all for giving me this opportunity of interacting with you. There are many things more which I could have said, but I don't want to say it right now because time, we should also be sticking to time. There's another thing which I've learned from Dr. Kiran Seth, which I love, and also from the West. If they say 7, they'll be there at 7. At 6, they'll be there. I remember Dr. Kiran Seth sitting all alone. Nobody had come. But he's there at his right time, 6 o'clock. The whole hall is empty because we have this, what we call Indian stretchable time. So we'll end off here. But I want to make 2 requests. Before you go, can I just make 2 requests? You can go, but just give me 1 minute more. Can you flash the QR code? I'd like you to flash the QR code. Those who would like to get associated with this, it's a movement, it's not an organization. You don't have any paid employees in SPIC MACAY except one, that is a accountant. And in this, I'll request some faculty members also, because the real thing will only happen if some faculty members join also. So if you can just scan this QR code. Those who would like to, those who won't, just forget about it. But just take this QR code and you can be, you'll come to know what's happening not just in India, but in different parts of the world. I want to mention one of our best chapters is in Stanford University. So don't think it's only in India that we're doing it. People, and they've taken it up on themselves. One of the topmost universities has got one of the best chapters of SPIC MACAY. I can name you so many: Cornell, University of Illinois Chapel. I have to say all these things, then people listen to what one has to say about things in India. So my request is those who would like to get a scan this. And one more thing. After the question and answer session, all those who would like to get involved with the movement little more, as I said, ground level, I'm going to spend half an hour with you. After everybody goes, only a few people will be left to tell you how this movement can be taken forward in this region. So we'll end off here. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.